quarantine creatives. COVID-19 has changed a lot for all of us, but despite these new challenges, we're all moving forward in new ways. Tamaquag's Indigenous Empowerment Network is committed to uplifting Native people, and that includes supporting the artists we collaborate with, respect, love, and admire. Through this series, we're checking in with Native artists to celebrate the diversity, creativity, and ingenuity of Indigenous art. Thank you for joining us today for our virtual discussion made possible thanks to funding from the United Way, the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts, and the Rhode Island Council on the Humanities, as well as the New England Foundation for the Arts, and people like you. You too can support programs like this by making a tax-deductible donation to the Tamaquag Museum. Links are in the chat box. Just a reminder before we begin, please make sure you're all on mute. We will have time to take your questions at the end of the interview, so please use the chat box to type your questions, and we'll go through them in the order they are received. Use your reaction buttons to let us see your enthusiasm. And if you're having any technical trouble, use the chat box to private message Tamaquag Tech for assistance. Before we begin, I would just like to take a minute to introduce myself and do a land acknowledgement in my language. You can acknowledge the land you're on if you know the nation, put it in the chat. If not, use the tool that's in the chat box, native-land.ca. Askwikwasen, Natasuis Makasni Pashao at Nahai Gansek, Natasuis Loren Spears at Englishat, Ni Nahai Gansek Nahantek, Kanupiam at Aki at Nahai Gansek. So hello everyone, I'm Loren Spears, and my traditional name is Makasni Pashao, and I am Narragansett Niantic, and welcome to the homelands of the Narragansett people. Now I would like to introduce Kathryn Myrtle. She is a Wampanoag woman, born and raised in Rhode Island. She began learning how to bead a few years ago and has continued to hone her skill and style ever since. Currently, she is a law student at the University of South Carolina and hopes to use her law degree to start a career where she can offer her services to tribal communities. Kanupiam, welcome. Kathryn, everyone can use their reactions or clap in the images. We are so thrilled to have you here today. I see some of your family in the images on our guests. And just in case people aren't aware, we are recording this because we will be posting it out on our YouTube, so people that miss it today can watch it later on YouTube, and we love that. And so, Kathryn, if you would start with sharing your background and how you became an artist.
Sure. So let me share my screen. I can start this PowerPoint up. All right. Can everyone see that PowerPoint? Great. All right. So my name is Kathryn Myrtle. A little about me. These are just some pictures of my family. We're definitely a close family. And a big one at that as well. I have all my cousins and my aunts and uncles and my grandparents, and then my parents and my brother are in the kayaks in that picture there. And a little about me and how I became an artist definitely comes from my family as well. And in that left top photo there is my Aunt Jamie, who doesn't consider herself an artist, I think, but she is so talented and can bead and sew and kind of do it all. And then my Auntie Debbie, my great Aunt Debbie, who does a lot with the Tamaquag Museum as well. She had an interview in this same collection for her wonderful paintings and drawings. And then the right picture there is my great grandparents. My middle name is Victoria, named after my great grandmother. And as Debbie said in her interview, she was another person who didn't quite consider herself an artist, but was so talented in her drawings and her sewing and everything. And then my mom, same, she is such a talented painter and she does everything. I have a picture of my grandma and grandpa. My grandma sews quilts and basically anything you could ever ask her to. My brother just started his wood burning, and those are some pictures of what he does. And then my Uncle Woody creates clay art from the clay in Aquina. And I do have that picture of that there because I have later in the PowerPoint some earrings that I used as inspiration from his art. So how I became an artist kind of sprouts from my long line of family that is full of art. So
that is so wonderful. It definitely, we know your family very well, and it's wonderful to hear so many of these other artists. So I'm hoping they'll connect themselves to Chammawquag Museum
definitely.
so we can uplift their art as well. Can you share how your culture influences your art?
Sure. So some pictures here. So how I kind of started beading. This is going to sound like a really cheesy story, but I was living with my aunt and uncle in Martha's Vineyard, and my uncle Woody was having drum practice at his house. That's a picture of my uncle and my little cousin Matakwas on his lap while he was drumming. And so they were having drum practice, and again, cheesy, but something about that drum, that heartbeat, like just hit me. And then his group singing, and it was just like something that hit me that said, you know, you have to do something that connects you to your culture, that something personal that you need to just connect yourself and do something. So literally I went to the Five and Dime in Martha's Vineyard. I mean, it was an island. You don't have much access to beading supplies, but I found what I could. And I was like, I'm going to teach myself how to bead. I can do it. And clearly the first picture right there, that was my very first thing that I beaded, is much harder. That's not something you can really teach yourself. In my head, I thought I could, but between my Aunt Jamie and my Auntie Debbie and Indigenous YouTube, actually, I really was able to learn and hone in on my skills. So yeah, that cultural inspiration got me started. And I definitely have, like my Aunt Debbie, actually pretty bad ADD. And I'm not good at sitting down for a long period of time or focusing on little details, which are both skills you need to bead. And I think it's that cultural connection that keeps me motivated and able to just focus and bead and really, really enjoy it too.
You do such a beautiful job.
Thank
The
you.
beadwork that I've seen that you have here at Chammawquag Museum is just stunning.
Thank
And
you.
so I'm sure you're going to show some examples as you go. The question I have next is, can you describe your artistic style and sort of take us through your creative process? And also like that can include how you evolved in your learning too.
So I started off, and I still do these now. I have some kind of geometric inspiration where um, there's a lot of pieces that I've named after cityscapes in Providence, and just kind of more quote unquote simple designs, but it's really inspired by geometric triangles, rectangles, mixing them together. But I do have a lot of pieces that are inspired by nature as well. One of my favorite things to bead is sunset inspired pieces, which you can see on both the left and the right side on that PowerPoint there. The right side, it's actually named Sunset and Under the Sea because I tried to use all those colors that create that type of picture. The third picture there is the piece that was inspired by my uncle's clay work, how he puts it in the little jars and those different colored clays lined up. And that blue piece there, which is actually available at the Chammawquag Museum, it's called Under the Sun, and it's more abstract, but the silver is supposed to represent the sun and the blue, the water, if you just flip that upside down. But definitely nature, especially sunsets and beach scenes is where I get a lot of my inspiration as well.
They are stunning, and from a beater that's older than you, your skill level jumped by leaps and bounds in a very short amount of time. They are just beautiful, and for people that know beading, her beadwork is really tight and just lovely. And you can see that in these pictures, but in person they're even more glorious. So I'm wondering if you can share your favorite pieces and maybe additionally share any more descriptions behind your decision making and how you made them, any meanings and why they're important to you.
Sure. So These are a few of my favorite pieces. The first picture there is something I made for my friend for her birthday. Her boyfriend had given me or given her to give me sea glass that he has collected on the beach. And I really like this piece here because it was my first time working with wire, and being able to use such raw pieces from the beach and incorporate that into earrings and a necklace was really enjoyable for me. That second piece, it was my first time doing a rosette, like a circle piece, and putting that in a hoop. And I love turtles, and so does my Aunt Jamie. That is why that was gifted to her. The heart earrings, it was my first time working with a different shape of hoop, which I really, really liked. And it's just the sunset colors that I love so much, and just the heart that shows my love for sunsets. And that last piece on the right, it's called Strawberry Thanksgiving, and it was for the Tamaqua Museum's contest for Strawberry Thanksgiving. It was my first time being involved in something with the Tamaqua Museum, which is amazing. And it was my first time really challenging myself with a complex design and thought process. And I mean, it was, I don't know if it's hard to explain, but how I created those earrings, I had to go row by row by row. So I really had to envision the entire piece in order to execute it properly. So it's one of my favorite pieces because of how challenging it was for me to create it.
I absolutely, I mean, every one of these are just amazing. The incorporation of the sea glass is stunning. The turtle, which of course is so meaningful to many of us as Nukasaki, Mother Earth, and the earth and the water going around it is just beautiful. Um, I'm a fan of hearts, regardless. I'm a girly girl, so hearts of any sort are my favorite. But I absolutely want to express to the public that are here the difficulty of creating this storyscape around Strawberry Thanksgiving as you go around that earring. You know, you're not taking one design and repeating it throughout. You're actually showing the whole process of the growth of the strawberry, from the seeds to the flowers to the wita minioche or the heartberry that you see here. I mean, they're absolutely stunning earrings. And I just, I can understand why these are your favorite pieces. These are just so amazing, and show your, your personal creativity, your connection to the culture and the community, but also the connection to the land, which is just so really beautiful. They're really fantastic.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering, this year, we're living through 2020. It's been a very tumultuous year. I'm wondering if, thinking about the things that have been happening, COVID-19, the social justice issues around Black Lives Matter, or voting, or the census, or the missing and murdered Indigenous women, or the 19th Amendment, or any other kind of topical issues, I wonder if that has affected your work in any kind of way. It can be in access to doing it, or showing it, or implementing any of those kinds of social justice topics into your work.
So it definitely being remote for work throughout the summer and then remote for school, it definitely gives me more opportunity to be able to do the work and to have a little more time just throughout the day, which has been great. But also being in this new virtual world where a lot of things have been forced into being virtual, I have had the opportunity to in that left corner, I was able to do a raffle for the Maddie Potts Foundation completely virtually, using my art, and raised a few $100s for them, which was really amazing. And I do have a screenshot of just an Instagram post from my page, because another really, really amazing thing that I've had the opportunity to do in this new virtual world is connect with other Indigenous artists via YouTube, and via Instagram. I've been able to meet different women from across Canada and across the United States, and really just share different skills, we've done some trades, and it's just been really interesting and amazing to be able to meet other people through that place. And then I know that one of the things was the census, and I want to kind of plug for any young people watching the American Indian Scholarship Fund. Great scholarships, love that. And I was able to connect with them, and they sent me, as you can see, those posters and postcards to be able to post in my area to encourage Native people to be a part of the census. And I know this isn't with my work, but definitely having this time kind of to reflect more, it's definitely, I think strengthened my cultural connection, because I've just had that time to reflect and time to bead more. I try when I bead to always think good thoughts, kind of like when some people, when they braid their hair, they think of nothing but good thoughts and their culture and their ancestors. And I try to do the same thing when I bead. So I think that's how 2020 has really affected me.
These are really amazing. I mean, it's first off, congratulations on being so generous to help fund for the Maddie Potts Foundation. And we know that that's close to home for us. For people that are not from the Charahoe area, they may not be aware of what happened there. I'm just wondering if you could give us just a little soundbite about that for the people in the audience that may not be aware of the importance of that.
Sure. So Maddie Potts was a teammate of mine who suffered from a brain aneurysm while playing on the soccer field at our local high school. And she sadly did pass away, but her family has done nothing but honor her and her legacy and everything that she embodied as a person, and created this foundation to help with scholarships for different students that embody traits like hers, and for brain aneurysm research. So it's always amazing to do anything that can help that foundation.
Yes, and anyone else that wants to connect to it, I'm sure you can find it by just Googling Maddie Potts Foundation. If our tech coordinator is still on, maybe she'll find the link for us, because it's an important thing to support these young people. I mean, I just commend you. I mean, she was your teammate when you were in high school, and you're in college now, and you're still supporting that. And that is a beautiful thing, that you're thinking beyond yourself in this really difficult time. Even as a student, that can be such a difficulty. I'm wondering, before we continue on with your arts, I'm wondering if you would just share a little bit about, your schooling and your future goals academically, and then maybe you can also share after that your future goals, artistically.
Sure. So yes, I am a second-year law student at the University of South Carolina School of Law. And this year I've gotten the opportunity to become the historian of the Law Students of Color Collaborative at my school, which has just been great. There's only 2 Native people at my school, but we are very close. Her name is Holly, and she is Lumbee. And we definitely connect and just bring it's nice to be able to be in a group that we can share information and different events that happen online, and just kind of teach the students around us about our culture and the importance of it. And this year I was able to take federal Indian law, which is a course at our school, and which has done, I've learned so much more than I've known before. And I'm hoping I'm connected with the Connecticut Indian Council, which is a subset of the Rhode Island Indian Council. And I've been in contact with my caseworker there, and we're really hoping that this summer I'll be able to get an internship within the area of Indian law. And yeah, I don't have my aspirations is to get a job after graduation, is what I always say. Being employed is wonderful, and I really hope it's something that I can give back to Native communities and be able to, follow my dreams that way. And then,
let me just intersect there. I don't want to forget to say this, but I have been doing a lot of presenting at Roger Williams University, which also has a law school. And I'm in communications with a professor there, and I can't quite recall his name at the moment. But he is teaching the Indian law at Roger Williams, and we've been talking about how we might be able to connect people. So make sure I connect you to him as an opportunity, and you don't know who's in his network of people that can connect you to opportunities.
It's it's an interesting class to take, and you learn so much, but you also learn so much about your classmates and how little they know about the history of Native people in this country. And for me, it was a quote unquote good experience because everyone, although they were learning about really, really horrific things in history, they responded to it in a way supportive to the Native people in the class. But yeah, it's a very, very long history full of endless things you could learn about. So, but moving forward.
Well, that's why when you were talking about the census and why it's so important, because it's connected to that whole layering of historical and lateral trauma, intergenerational trauma that has happened through conquest and colonization. And of course, they can hear about that at some other talk. But, you know, they're all connected. And I think it's important that artists like yourself, you're an artist and you're a perfect example of someone who's going into a career that's not an arts career, but is still connected to the arts through your cultural community, your family and your community, which I think is really beautiful. So I'm wondering if you can share any of your future project goals in your art.
So right now I do have a holiday collection available it's featured on my Facebook and on my Instagram, which is just, I think there's 40 pieces left in it. And I'm hoping that next spring I'll be able to release another collection after exams are over. I will get back into beading, but definitely some future goals. I have a picture of last Christmas, I beaded for all my aunts and uncles, a framed picture of Tasha Uwak, which is family in Wampanoag. And I'm hoping to do more beading on fabric like that. And then I have one piece there of a piece that goes around a hat. It was my first time using a loom, and I'm hoping to do more loom work as well and kind of expand my skills in that way.
Beautiful. And I believe Silver Moon populated the link to your Facebook page in the chat. So that is wonderful. And great, you're showing on your page where people can find your work. Can you share that with them?
Yes. So I have a Facebook and an Instagram, which are both Beading by Kathryn, easy. And then I do have an email there, and I believe Silver Moon may have my phone number that she can share as well for anything. Right now, I'm not taking custom orders because it is exam time, but I'm sure over winter break, I'll have some more time and can take custom orders then.
And we have several beautiful pieces at Tamaqua Museum that are on our online store at tamaquamuseum.org/online store, I think. But Silver Moon will populate that as well. So I'm really excited that people will be able to see a variety of your work and can think of it as for holiday gifts and things like that. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we go to Q&A?
No, I just want to say thank you so much. This is the first time that I've done any type of interview to talk about my work. And it's been such an honor this year to be able to be a part of Tamaqua Museum events and everything. And you guys are just amazing. So thank you so much for this.
Oh, you're welcome, Kanupiam. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. I mean, I can remember when you were really little, and it's so fun to watch how people grow, and then to have this connection again and hear about your amazing achievements in law school. I mean, that's just phenomenal. And then to share with the public the beauty of your artwork and how you use that as a a therapeutic mindfulness tool, which is also something that a lot of people do in this very fraught time that we're living in. I've been spending a lot of time beading and weaving myself just because I need
Yes.
and so hopefully those that are listening and watching in the future will pick up an art form to help them release some of the tensions
Definitely right.
and come with that. So I so appreciate that so much. Thank you again, Kathryn, for sharing your gifts with the world. Oh, wait a minute. I see Kobe's joining us. And a little on the late side, but that's okay. We'll say hello. I'm wondering if, again, if there's any last things that you'd might like to say before we close out.
No, I just, you did start talking more about how it's a therapeutic thing. And I have some things that I've painted. I don't consider myself a painter in the background there, but definitely recommend to anyone watching during these stressful times that you don't, I mean, I don't think I'm a painter, but anyone can be a painter. Anyone can pick up something that can, some type of art that can ease their stress. So just recommend
Well,
that.
and you say you're not a painter, but I tell everyone you're a painter if you keep painting. If
Yeah.
you do it once or twice and maybe give up, then maybe not. And it's just for fun. But if you paint for the next 30, 40 years, guess what? You're a painter. So, you know, you're telling your stories through your art. And when you set yourself up there when we were doing our practice, I was admiring those paintings. Can you share with us what was inspiring you? Because it looks like the sunrise and sunset.
Yes, it is. I love the sunrise. And at the bottom, I just have some, I just glued little broken quahog shells at the bottom there.
Oh, how beautiful.
Yes, I mean, that is so important and wonderful to be on our beaches. My brother and I, over the summer, worked at a kayak center, and throughout the whole parking lot was just broken shells. And we're like taking home big baggies to like do something with at some point, maybe make jewelry, maybe do something. But, and then that's another sunset beach scene, my favorite thing. My favorite place and my favorite thing.
So in other words, you're an artist all the way through and through. And that's the beauty of it, the creativity, the stories that are manifest from the art, the relationship building with family and friends, and the relationship with the people that view your art. It's beautiful. And just own it. You're an artist, you're a painter, you're a beater. And I'm sure as you go along, you'll come up with other things. I mean, the use of shell and of the glass, the sea glass, I'm sure you're going to have more inspiration with that. So that is really beautiful. I'm going to check the chat because Silver Moon was saying she was having a little bit of trouble. People were commenting on how much someone was saying strawberries are my favorite. Love, love, love that design. I love them all. Amazing work from Donna. Thank you, Kathryn, for sharing your beautiful work with us. I look forward to seeing more on your social media pages. If there's anyone that has a question or a comment that wants to come live on the screen, they're welcome to do that at this time.
Kathryn, this is your mother.
Hi, Mom.
I was not late. It was your brother on my link.
Yes,
I love when you
Zachary had an exam too. He wasn't late because of any reason.
I love your job, Kathryn.
Thank you.
So nice to hear from you, Kobe. Sorry to blast you out.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Does anyone have any other questions for Kathryn or comments?
Hi, Loren. It's Auntie
Hi,
Jamie.
Jamie Sue.
Hi. Great job, Kathryn. Thank you so much. It was a great presentation, and it was wonderful to learn about your process. I'm just wondering if you could share. I know it's so hard to be a student and to find work that is necessary for self-care or to do something besides reading. It can be really challenging when you're in school. And I think a lot of students get a lot of stress because they can't. I'm just wondering if you can share a few tips on time management or how you find the time to be creative while you're in such an intensive law school program.
So one thing that's helped me the most is literally setting a timer. Like make a list of everything I have to do for school or my goals of what I want to do for the day, and say I need to read 50 pages. I set myself, and I'm making up numbers, but say I have to read 50 pages and, you know, it's the end of the day and I have 3 hours, I'm setting myself a 1 hour timer. I'm going to read as much as I can, but I really set myself at that timer. When that timer goes off, even if I have 10 pages left, I'm like, nope, I need to give myself time. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll find time tomorrow to do it, but I need to stick with that and give myself time. So that, I mean, is helpful with getting all the work that I have to get done for all my many classes, but also doing self-care as well as, and just being ADD, like getting off topic very easily. It's also helpful to be like, during this hour, I'm doing this assignment and that is it. And so that's my best advice. And obviously that works for me. It may not be best for anyone else, but that works for me.
So someone wrote, that's a great strategy for people with ADD.
Yes.
And oh, that was the Tamaquag Tech, which is Silver Moon. And Kathy, she asked a question, can you address the history of beading with Native culture? And you can share what you'd like. And if I want to add something,
I was going to say, I'm no expert, but I do know that obviously the quahog shell was what was at the beginning. We didn't obviously have access to beads until colonialization, and that is something we've adapted. But you're more educated on the subject if you want to jump in.
Well, so I'll add to that, because you're right. The
Yes.
quahog shell and other shells were
Yes.
used as beads. So we had to make our own beads by harvesting the materials: stone, bone, antler, shell, seeds, clay, wood. And then you had to process each individual shell using stone and bone tools, pump drill to make the whole. You can actually come to Tamaquag Museum and you can see wampum pig, the white beads from the quahog or the whelk shell that are over 5,000 years old. And you can see that they're not perfectly cylindrical the way that we can do that today with the types of tools that we have today. Thank you, Kathryn, for holding up that wampum. And so that was a great question. But I do like to remind people that we had the skill of beading prior to Europeans coming. We just had to make all of our beads, put them on hanks, save them, and then eventually could weave a belt like a wampum belt or create adornment that to wear, or things for ceremony with beads on your clothing and things like that. But it was a lot more work because you had to make each individual bead as well as do the beading itself. That was a great question. Any other last questions or comments? I don't think the mute is off.
Oh, the mute. No.
So,
Hear me? Can't hear me.
barely. Go ahead and yell.
Oh, I can't hear.
Oh, when Kathryn was younger,
Oh, there we go.
she was young. I was teaching her how to sew.
Yeah.
I said, first we have to pin the pattern on the material. So I said, put a pin here, and then put another pin here. People should be able to put pins where they want to put. And I thought, this girl's gonna go far.
Thank you. I think it was a sewing story about Kathryn not wanting to follow the rules of where the pins go.
That's the story.
That's wonderful. Yes. So
I see in the chat for following me on Instagram. She commented and just said thank you. So thank you
Oh,
very much for
wonderful.
following.
Yes, and Haley is our new Indigenous Empowerment Network intern here at Tamaqua Museum. So we're happy
Fellow
to have
Rick,
her with us today.
go
And,
Anchor.
and so I think, is there any last questions or comments? Well, thank you so much again, Kathryn, for sharing with us today. And thank you all for joining us for this presentation. I have a few quick announcements I'd love to share with you before you go. Our next session for Quarantine Creatives is scheduled on Thursday, December 20th with Denise Silva Dennis at 6 p.m. We hope you'll return for this free program, and you can find the link in to register on our website under the events page. You can see past Creative Quarantine programs archived on our YouTube page. We continue to book virtual programs. Visit our website for details for all of our virtual programming, or give us a call at the museum to schedule a program. Thank you again to our funders, the United Way, the Rhode Island State Council on the Arts, the Rhode Island Council on the Humanities, and the New England Foundation for the Arts. Please consider making a tax-deductible donation to the Tamaqua Museum via our website. You can also support Tamaqua Museum and get ready for the holidays by visiting our online virtual gift store, where you can also see some of Kathryn's work that is featured there. And also, today is our last day for our online auction. See the chat for the link. It goes until 5 p.m. Today. You can check out the honorings from last week on our YouTube page. We had 5 amazing women that we honored this year in our annual honoring virtually. So we would love to have you view them. And lastly, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you again in a few weeks. Wuni Kisak, have a good afternoon, and Wuni Tabutan Tamawonk, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Katabatash.